With the permission of my panelists, I will try to, those of you who are not quite awake, I'll try to wake you up a bit, okay? So we have to figure that out together. That how can we make this panel and this event, how can we get the best out of them? As you've heard Bimal Mehta explain, there are many solutions now. And as we heard the previous speaker from Fasciculus earlier, they have said that although we don't know the exact numbers, there is an apprehension that in pharma, we are losing from 100,000 to 1 million lives a year due to counterfeit pharma. Okay? So we have the dramatic number also on one side. And essentially, in our panel, we have two people from the pharma side and the brand owners. And the whole attempt in this conference to some extent is this issue of trust and transparency. That means it's in the interests of the brands to create trust and transparency. Transparency in the sense not only that the product is authentic, but also that it is sustainable. Okay? So one question I have is that the brand owners particularly are keen to launch authentication products. Now I visited some of the pharma packaging plants near Mumbai, in fact. And I don't know if it's still true, but what they generally used to do is each converter, each packaging supplier had a secret code that they embedded in the packaging that they produced. So if there is a problem or a challenge or some kind of a scandal somewhere that this medicine is fake or dangerous or counterfeit, they would be able to say that, look, it's not my packaging. Okay, so the basic atmosphere was one of not essentially of, maybe not trust and transparency, but one of fear that from my plant, nothing bad went out. So I am innocent. Okay, which is the general style of our culture, that whenever something goes wrong, we say, it wasn't me. Okay, something goes wrong on the shop floor. I mean, that is one way of reacting for various reasons. Because there are maybe the unequal social relations, and everybody feels afraid of being criticized or pointed to, or in some cases losing their job when actually it wasn't their fault. So what I'm saying is the whole attempt now is to dramatically change the thing. And I think it is that the new things that we are going to be part of, both as product producers, pharma producers or consumer product producers, and also as packaging suppliers and technology suppliers, is that we will not be selling the greatest new product or the greatest new drug. We will be actually selling an ecosystem. Okay? That means the opportunity there for the packaging suppliers, the converters, is to plug into the creation of the new ecosystem. And not to just sell a box, but to also sell the ecosystem, how that box is connected to the cloud, how that box is connected to the consumer, etc., etc. So my questions, first of all, to my pharma brand owner colleagues is, we'll dispense with one question, which was sort of there. I was hoping for the Abbott gentleman to be here because he's a supplier of medical, apart from pharma, they do other medical, what are these things called? Medical equipment or other things like stents and all, which are also subject to a great deal of counterfeiting, in fact. So my question is that there was supposed to be a new law passed about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when we did this conference in 2021, pertaining to not just pharma, but other medical devices. Yeah, medical devices is the word I was looking for. What has happened to that law? Has that come into being? Is there a need for that law? And where are we going with medical devices and counterfeiting of those? Mr. Srivastava, would you like to comment first?
Thank you. Thank you, Naresh.
Please understand, he may not be the guy in medical devices, huh? He may be the pharma guy, but I'm trying to say something or get something which is of interest to all of us.
So, first of all, thank you. Thank you to entire organizing committee to arrange this panel discussion on this is a sensitive topic and closer to my heart as well, and give a chance to share my view with this esteemed panel. So, as Naresh asked the question, basically I am a supply chain professional looking towards the entire business processes, and most of the point which already addressed by Vimal, but still I want to highlight here a couple of things, and one of the area which generally not addressed or somewhere missed in the discussion whenever I come across this type of panel discussion is the optimum inventory level, or talking about the inventory optimization. Because what I believe or what I saw during this entire supply chain, if you're talking about all nodes, like if either you talk about API formulation or FG, or forget about these all things, even if about the vendor management, there is a little bit or a good amount of buffer, even if you talk about their master elements like the lead times and all. We found that good amount of buffer is there, which result in terms of some excess inventory in the entire supply chain, which cause, or I believe which is one of the reason which create some nodes for the counterfeit. Now, since there is lot of supply chain and these nodes create lot of methodology come across, and I want to talk about one of the methodology, that is the TOC theory of constraint, and it help us to give or to identify what is the bottleneck or constraint in the supply chain, where this all about the what you called counterfeit come across, to find out what exactly the bottleneck and how to address. The reason being, this TOC is talking about that whatever is the reason or cause or problem exists for these all thing can be categorized basically in the three buckets, that is the full kit issue resolution and no bad multitasking. So with this parameter, I believe, yes, we are fighting against this, but a long way to go. Yes, Naresh.
Yeah. Okay, is there anybody in the audience who's knowledgeable about the law coming on medical devices? No, okay. But I believe that law is still hanging fire. It's not been enacted. Yeah.
I guess I do not have idea about this particular law in the moment.
But the issue is that various compliances are coming. The first one is on unit compliance and serialization of medicines. That is already enacted, correct?
Serialization, track and traces, this has already exist, and this help us to track the inventory or whatsoever the product from manufacturing to end user. So this is already and definitely going to help us to understand where the product is, which definitely, as I talk about, helping us to reach or to create the optimum level of the inventory in the overall supply chain, which is a counter for this counterfeit. So yes, it is.
Okay. So that is there. The second thing is that I believe, particularly in pharma, since you're a supply chain expert, I'll push you a bit more, that the issue is, see, this is an issue of counterfeiting not only to the consumer and the danger to the consumer, but there is considerable danger to the pharma manufacturer if they are not able to prove or track and trace the authenticity of the ingredients. So how do you practice authentication within your factory? And this is, by the way, practiced within many packaging manufacturers. Now, many of the Indian packaging manufacturers, such as Uflex, actually practice IoT within the factory. that the reel from one step to the next does not go without a barcode and a computer entry. So how do you manage your APIs, ingredients, etc., that were mentioned by Bimal?
So definitely this counterfeit is a major challenge basically from the manufacturing point of view because it's directly questioning about the brand. So there the industry already come up, though we are fighting against this, but lot of the solutions come up. Vimal have talked about a lot like blockchain. He's talked about the track and trace and serialization. So serialization is one of the which is compulsory, and the industry is using this to address this counterfeit. Either we being the manufacturer from API to FG, so all about end-to-end customer, not from the from manufacturing to end user. There is lot of chain like e-commerce come across in this, and through entire generally this serialization, we industry believe that it's going to help. But yeah, definitely I said that long way to go still.
Is that something that you also have to prove to FDA and all? That your processes have these authentication procedures within the pharma production?
Yeah, definitely. This US FDA audit used to happen where we have to share this authentication process. We have to convince them that how the product is authentic and how we are addressing this counterfeit to entire the supply chain to give the relevant product to the customer, because it's all about the life-saving drugs. So yes, your question to yes.
Yeah. See, what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that this is not just a problem from manufacturer to consumer. This is a problem internal to all manufacturing. Even if you're a converter, some of the ingredients you are getting are actually fake. Okay, I was a consultant to a very large press in India, and they use isopropyl alcohol in the fountain solution of their web-fed presses. Now, it turned out that they were paying for what is called IPA, 99% pure, but actually the alcohol that was being supplied to them was CBM, which was 85%. Okay? And you can't measure it easily. You need a specific gravity test. And the tests and the instruments and all were very expensive and awkward in those days. Those were the days of using things like litmus paper and all kinds of tests. So that means within what we produce, in our manufacturing process also, there's a huge need to create, to reduce friction, even in automobile manufacturing. You know, there's a recall of 1 million cars because one shock absorber doesn't work, or one switch doesn't work. So we are entering an era of perhaps over-reliance on certain automated processes, but the inputs have to be validated, etc.
Just add on to this that as Naresh said, definitely we have to test, and that is cost is one of the area which I think not here to talk about, but yes, that is costive, and there is a time frame for this entire test is. So if it's not going to be utilized or consumed on the specific time range, we have to do this retesting again, then the chances of failure increase or it may come up. Then there is a life cycle of the product. Within that time, I have to move from API to formulation to finished good to reach to the specific country, and that country, every land have their own regulation. So that there in the country, there is itself a shelf life. Is say the product, like if I'm talking about the US, then there if the product shelf life is not at least 12 months, you cannot sell that product. So there's a short shelf life concept, and these all things we have to fix during this supply chain boundary to come across this problem to address the end solutions, disease to be reduced.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let me turn to Mr. Sanjeev Sharma from UFlex. What is your perspective? I believe that the technologies you're working on, and I believe there's one very new technology you're working on. I don't know if you'll be allowed to speak a lot about that, but if you may be able to, and you're most welcome to share. How do your technologies work? And I believe they work across industries, not just pharma. Is that correct?
Good afternoon to everyone. Basically, I'll share my experiences, what we are doing specifically into pharma industry. Uh, when we say authentication or counterfeiting market, we need to understand how this counterfeiting works. We have to, we as a company, first of all, look how the counterfeiter, उसका दिमाग कैसे काम करता है, how this counterfeiting industry itself works. Right. See, first of all, these counterfeiting people do not come into the main supply chain. They work as a parallel economy with the country. Right. They never intersect each other. You'll rarely find your medicine getting counterfeited into the major shops. You will find them counterfeited into a shop where you do not generally sell your product. छोटे गांव में दराज में it's very difficult for you because they never cross intersect with your main supply chains because otherwise they'll get caught. Point number one. Second is counterfeiting people do not work on a technology basis. They completely work on जुगाड़ system because they do not know कि उनको कितने दिन काम चलेगा. Right? So they'll try to do something, जुगाड़ something, कुछ करके कितने देर कर ले. What my earlier panel discussion were doing it, they covered majorly all points how you can do it. What I'll add on to it is, you first of all, when you try to cover the counterfeiting industry, you cannot do it alone by one method. One method means if you are trying to put some security feature into your printing, it may not work for a very long period. Time has come, you have to integrate more than 2 technologies in one pack. Yeah? Printing is, because nowadays the ample amount of printing capacity is available, most of them are sitting free, खाली बैठे हैं तो वो ये काम करते हैं. So what do? You integrate one more technology along with your printing. We being in UFlex, we have a variety of solutions. One of the solutions is a holographic solution. What we do, hologram, when I say a word hologram, the first image which comes is a small sticker which is a chum-chum. No, it's not that. That was a 20 years back. Currently, holography as an industry has grown very big. Lot of technologies have come into it. So what we do, we embed the image on the surface of the pack, which is very loudly seen. The moment the consumer buys a pack, before exchanging money with the shopkeeper, he should be able to identify whether the product is genuine or not. That's the most important. Because once the consumer has taken the product at home, there is very less chances that somebody will come back and report कि मेरा product fake आया था. I'll give you an example because I work with a lot of pharma companies, what they share with us. How it works. See, suppose you are having a headache and you are prone to take one particular brand of it which you know works very well for you in the past. You have taken it, every time it worked. This time when you have taken it, it may not work. You will not get a thought that कि मैंने medical गलत लिया है. What you will see, इस बार मेरा headache बहुत ज़्यादा है, वो ठीक नहीं हुआ है. What you will do? After 3 hours, again you will take one more tablet. फिर भी नहीं. By the time you will forget it. आपका headache ठीक हुआ, but it is not because of the medicine. Time इतना निकल के अपने आप ठीक हो गया. So nobody goes and report कि भैया तुम्हारा product duplicate था. तो pharma companies rarely get a complaint from a market कि product हमको. What they come to know is their own salesmen in the market. Right, through their own data, the particular product is not selling in one area. They have their own methods to do it. Right, that's how they come to know कि यहाँ पे duplicacies आ रही है. So what we do, we add security features on the surface of the pack, which is very loudly visible to the consumer at the time of purchase. Right, and those features we insist on mainly on. Overt features. Overt features in a simple language is a feature which is easily identifiable without any gadget. Right? Covert features, you need some gadget to identify, either you need a mobile phone or a UV light or something to identify. But the method that we offer to them in the industry is very loud holographic features. Now how holography is better than anything else is? There are certain things which printing cannot do it. I'll give an example of it. In a holography, you can produce something called a floating image. Floating image means whatever characters you write on it, it appears like it's floating on the water, right? Which you cannot do it on a printing method. Now we integrate both of these things on a pack. It's very easy for a consumer to see it. We have some few live examples on the stall that we have it. If anybody interested, they can go and see it. Third part is, along with the holography and the printing, the best thing what you can do is forensic features. Forensic features is good for you to fight a case in the market. But that, what I'm trying to say is, when you say security, you have to put into layers. One single feature may not work for you. Depending upon what type of security or what type of threat you have, accordingly you keep on adding to it, right? Covert features, overt features, and forensic features. And features should be such which are very visibly, loudly available. Anything else if you want to add?
Would you like to add something?
Thank you, sir. I think most of the part you have already covered. So being a solution provider, we always recommend that along with the overt and covert feature, we should add some more additional features which can be easily authenticated by the end customer. Because eventually I am going to buy a medicine or I am going to buy a food product, and if we will empower to the end user, they can self-authenticate their product, whatever they are going to buy, that is going to help to the brand, I guess.
My other question is that, when one issue is authentication and brand protection and protection of the consumer, and also protection of the manufacturing process, the integrity. Are the Indian pharma manufacturers or any of your customers also looking at more active customer engagement? That means you put an RFID in a blister pack which senses that this tablet has been eaten, okay? And it gives you a signal when the next dose has to be taken, or if you have missed a dose. Are any of the pharma companies also looking at active packaging as a sense? Like I believe Medipharm has done something abroad recently, where there is an RFID in the blister pack itself. What are your ideas about that? Do you think that is of interest to Indian pharma manufacturers? Or anybody from an Indian manufacturer here, or pharma company? Pharma packaging company? No? Yeah? Get a mic.
So,
Identify yourself, please.
okay, my name is Sandeep Bhargav. I'm from Kumar Printers. We make packaging for the pharmaceutical companies as well. So a few years back, one of our very large international board mill representative had come to our factory, perhaps looking for some sort of a collaboration. They had been working on a very interesting project in which they had developed a device in which the doctor could insert a blister, of medicine. And every time the patient punched out one of the tablets, it would record the time and the date. And it also asked the patient how he was feeling at that point of time for that particular ailment. And then when the doctor got back the box again, after maybe 10 days or 15 days of treatment, he could download all the data and find out how effective was the treatment over a period of 10 days or 15 days. And after how much time was the patient actually feeling better. So that's one of the things they were working on. But I don't know if they actually commercialized that or not. But that particular sample was working, what I saw.
Mm-hmm. The communication was to the cell phone of the patient, or?
No, he had to take the box back to the doctor,
Okay.
and he would download all the data, onto his computer.
Okay. I suppose that would be now modernized into some kind of a cloud connection, possibly. Yeah.
Could be, but I have not seen that again.
Achha. Acha. My other question to you, since you dared to speak up, is have the pharma packaging companies moved on from those years, 20 years ago or 15 years ago, where they used to have a secret code hidden? Are you using any of the techniques like Bimal Mehta pointed out of invisible small type or other kinds of coding? Is that become
I
the...
just have a blister here. It has a QR code made by Sun Pharma, and we just checked it right now. It worked.
Okay.
It works. So we are seeing that more and more in the Indian, products now.
Okay.
And I guess it's because of the smartphone that we are able to quickly authenticate.
No, but have you moved on from the days where you were a defensive packaging material supplier who was worried that you would not be implicated? Or do you still have a unique code for your company for the packaging you produce?
Yeah, it's there. It's there with all the pharmaceutical packaging manufacturers. I guess everybody does it.
I think what he is referring to is what we call as a supplier code. Yeah, that's more
that's
for
right.
in case of multiple suppliers are there. So if some rejections or some dispute comes in, then they can identify who supplies materials. Otherwise, they cannot do it. It's more of a supplier code. Yeah.
Okay, so now we have these technology suppliers and pharma company knowledgeable about the supply chain. Do we have some questions from the audience? They can be beyond pharma also, but basically the panel is pharma. Are there any questions? Please.
Sir, the subject of panel discussion is showing the blockchain and the transparency also. So can you please throw more light on a blockchain?
Can you repeat the question a little bit more loudly?
So the panel discussion subject here is also showing a blockchain.
Yeah.
So can you please, anybody from your team can throw a light on the blockchain?
Yeah. Yeah. I think Fasciculus also talks about blockchain. Both of you can go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so may I know your name?
My name is Rajashree. I am from Glenmark Pharmaceutical.
Hi, thanks. Thanks for bringing this question on the forum. So I guess being a supply chain, there is so many challenges, and the blockchain topic which we want to address here definitely this blockchain. See, the four of the point which I want to just, though Bimal have already addressed, but I want to re-emphasize here is the quality, which I think there is no need to talk on this because this is already on the topmost priority of the any industry, especially in the pharma, because it's all related to the man life. Now the second thing is all about the complexity, which is being a supply chain professional, we used to work with so many SKUs parallelly because every product have their urgency on this entire supply chain. And third one is related to the regulatory. Why I'm talking about here, because every land have their own requirement in terms of their packaging, blister, or you talk about the artwork. The fourth which I want to talk about here is related to the patent. The reason being this pharma industry, the company whose patent is expired, the opportunity for rest of the players come across and to serve that particular nation is. Now the challenges in the patent case is like if I'm talking about Europe, there you cannot enter in that particular market, forget about the market, you cannot enter even in their air and sea space till the time patent is not get expired. So these are all the challenges other than reverse supply chain. Now the blockchain, this technology, definitely it's a robust technology come across with the industry peoples, with the help of the technology champions, and this technology help us to create or to trace the entire product from end-to-end product along with, and it's create a tamper-proof record because directly counter on the counterfeit, because it creates a tamper-proof record along with the laser, which you can share with your stakeholders. And not only stakeholders, if you want, you can share with the regulatory as well as to this blockchain is going to be help to track the entire with the data which cannot be tampered, and it's a foolproof data is. So I guess I'm closer to your question is.
Yes. Yeah, it was more near to that. But my further question is about what would be the awareness of the user, end user. So through that blockchain, whether we come to know if it is a genuine or the fake product, because more or less it is an app-based product. App-based application would be there. So how do we come to know whether through the blockchain also we are getting a genuine product? And my next question is that, do you really think if we all, FMCG, pharmaceutical, should come together and we should further take this matter with GS1, or we can have a regulated body also there to govern or to control such a situation, so that, like, if you, now you talk about the Europe also. If you see into US and the Europe, these are the more controlled body who are controlling the drug product, where you don't see any counterfeiting there. But majorly it is seen into the developed countries like India or the Asian countries, where rules and the regulations are not that much stringent and the mandate. So can we make a mandate also? So anybody or from audience also, so we can work together to the regulatory body and we can have a firm solution onto this.
So just adding to my previous answer, this blockchain is, as you correctly said, it's going to create the data blockwise. So every moment of the product is going to be captured. So being a manufacturer or being a brand owner or being a owner of the product, we come to know with this technology that product is, I mean to say, authenticity of the product come across to the knowledge. But yes, you rightly said that together this industry, we all together have to further work on this to make it more authentic or more effective for the user point of view.
See, you have taken the discussion in, I think, a very interesting direction. First is for the need for the industry to collaborate. And I think this will come up later on also in the sustainability part, that if there is some standardization even of the packaging, particularly flexible packaging, it will be easier to collect and to recycle also. So industry collaboration is one thing that you pointed out. The other issue is that blockchain, to a large extent, relies on the cloud, right? You have to be connected to the cloud, where you are actually accessing a dynamic database, which is secure, which is generating itself at the same time, using, and you are mining it using AI, etc. Andrew Manley, you mentioned blockchain, and this young lady mentioned GS1, the standard. Would you care to just speak about what is happening with blockchain and GS1 in Europe for pharma?
From the perspective of blockchain in pharma, I haven't seen too much development going on in Europe on that level. It's more about consumer-facing security measures, and one area which is very hot because there's such a lot of wasted product at the consumer level is compliance. Another area is sort of security and authentication at the clinical trial stage. There seems to be quite a lot of development going on in that. For food, and I'll very brief. I know we're talking about pharma. You know, there's a lot more things going on in blockchain because people want the farm to fork certainty. You know, you're not in that area with pharmaceuticals. It's more about manufacturing and authentication at the manufacturing level. If you want to go back a bit, then maybe in the ingredients. I mean, some of you guys will know more about that. You know, it's the authentication of the ingredients, making sure that they're not fake before they get to the production side. GS1, we regard as very exciting across a whole range of stuff, partly and simply because it standardizes things. And I think one of the things that the obstacles to adoption of some smart packaging technologies is that there's so many different solutions out there. Even if you're overlaying one on the other to create a complete solution, people are getting confused. GS1, Digital Link, has an opportunity really, certainly in pharma for traceability and that kind of stuff, but across a whole range of products to say, well, this is a standard that we can all recognize, we can all work to, and we can all sell to the consumer in a way that some of the other solutions, perhaps whilst they work, are a bit more complicated and therefore harder for the consumer to understand or actually use. Having said that, one thing you were talking about was cloud and things like that. A lot of the consumer-facing things, we're trying to go appless. Yeah, no apps, so QRs without an app and things like that are very important to getting more usability. I hope that helps.
Yeah, appless is one thing. The other thing Andrew mentioned is that GS1 is an opportunity. How do you see GS1 as an opportunity? I mean, as a standard, as an opportunity to...
Purely and simply because it can be universally applied. I mean, there's a GS1 office here, there's a GS1 office in Manila where I'm going next, there's a GS1 office in Bangkok, in Hanoi. They're all over the place and they can all talk directly to the local market, to the local suppliers, to the local consumer groups, and actually sell the idea of that concept of a digital link. And the digital link is a lot more sophisticated than, it's a QR code, not a barcode. Yeah? So it's an opportunity to sell the whole concept of getting familiarized with a QR-based security system or traceability system in whatever part of the world you're living, whether it's a huge market, and I have to say India is a huge and highly developed market. If you go to Philippines or somewhere like that, it's a lot more patchy, but there are opportunities to develop the same level of understanding over time.
Okay, so GS1 is a kind of an international institution, or is it a...
Yes, it's an organization that's I think locally funded by each group. There's a level of participation in the markets that you're in. But there are, I'm not sure whether there's a GS1 representative here or a member of GS1, but they can speak more clearly to what it is. But we see it as very exciting, and it's creating a lot of excitement in Europe and America at the moment.
So there you are. You have an answer to two of your questions. Two of your questions are answered. One is for the industries need to work together. Second is the issue of standardization, and also the GS1.
I can't overemphasize how important it is that we present solutions that are widely acceptable. I mean, as I say, all of the solutions that are on offer here work, but how many people know about them in enough depth to actually implement them? We need something to base our standard on, and then we can build on that, I think.
Yeah. See, because one of the... yeah, please, go ahead. While he's bringing the mic to you, I'll only say that one of the things I hear at all these type of conferences is that consumers are not looking at the QR code. They're not scanning. They're not engaged. And the other thing what Andrew is hinting at is the need to create an ecosystem. That means collaboration is more or less necessary to make this whole, to clean up the environment. It's a concern, not just of one company to be uniquely ahead of the pack or defensive, but for the whole marketplace to somehow learn to collaborate. Yeah, question there?
Yeah. Hi, this is Mayur from Mitsubishi Chemicals. I think we are moving a little more, or we are thinking, or we are just brainstorming a little too much. I guess the biggest problem that we have in India is that the availability of drug or medicine right over the counter, even if it's a restricted drug. So availability of that medicine readily, which should be sold only through prescriptions is something which is causing these, or the impact of forfeit or duplicate medicines available in the market is that one of the reasons. So if we can control that particular part of it, the overall measures to tackle counterfeiting would be much easier compared to what we are doing right now. So yes, GS1 and everything comes into picture, but that's at a much later stage once we tackle these things much better. So like in Europe or USA, you cannot get a scheduled H or a drug which is controlled by prescription just like that. You need a prescription for that. In India, you can easily go and take that drug. So again, that's one of the reasons